Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to XDefiant. The game itself comes out in 4 days time at the time of this video being recorded, and as such they're trying to hype up the game by posting a bunch of things to social media, new teasers, new trailers, and then today they posted a 22-minute long video over on the Ubisoft YouTube channel titled XDefiant, Pro Gameplay Tips, Map Guide, and Pre-Season Developer Insights. I'm more interested in the developer insights than anything, but I thought it would be interesting for today to just sit down and we're going to watch this video together. We're going to talk about what they say. We're going to be stopping and pausing and diving deep into pretty much everything that goes on in this video here today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, and sit back and relax as we hear from the XDefiant developers about the creation of the game and how it's going to be handled going forward when it launches in just a couple of days. All right, let's get started. The XDebrief. They're definitely loving the XD
What's
part of this.
going on, everyone? And welcome to XDebrief, the show that gives you all the news, details, and updates on XDefiant. My name is Yusuf Garcia Magid, and I'll be your host. Every episode, I'll be joined by a developer to talk about the state of the game, what updates are on the way, and give you a first look at new things like maps, weapons, factions, and more.
So they say every episode. Looks like we're going to be getting a lot more of these going forward, but in this particular episode, there's going to be an interview with Mark Rubin. He's going to give us top tips for each game mode, as well as a map breakdown and how to play XDefiant like a pro, which of course lots of pro players, former COD pro players, were working on this game, so we'll see how that goes.
We also want to build the show with you, so let me introduce you to a crucial member of our team, Zach Paget. Zach is a community developer on XDefiant, and he's the direct link between you and the show. Take it away, Zach.
Hey everyone, I'm Zach.
Not gonna lie, I'm liking how they're taking all the time and effort to actually go ahead and do this. This is something COD would never
The
do.
community developer on XDefiant. As Yusuf just mentioned, there is no XDebrief without you. So feel free to talk to us. Comment on this YouTube video or post in our Discord and let us know what you want to see in the
I'm also
show.
pretty sure I have that exact same jacket.
Both seen and heard. So each XDebrief will end with a community segment where we'll be answering those questions and showing off amazing moments. To be a part of the show, just use the hashtag XDebrief to submit your questions and gameplay clips. Until next time.
Okay, using social
Now,
media.
This being the first episode of XDebrief, we thought it only fitting to start things off with executive producer Mark Rubin. I caught up with him earlier to talk about the team's vision for the game and how it'll grow and evolve with players.
The man himself, Mr. Rubin. Fun fact, by the way, before we even get into Mark Rubin's interview, are you guys aware of this? He posted this to social media a while ago, and it blew my mind. Mark Rubin used to work at Infinity Ward, and he was actually the model, like the guy actually wearing the outfit and everything for Call of Duty 4, as well as Modern Warfare 2. Like this iconic image right here, that is Mark Rubin. That's pretty freaking crazy.
Let's get into the nitty gritty here because I'm so curious to pick your brain about it. Obviously, you have a ton of experience with first-person shooters, and I want to know, for you, what makes a great arcade shooter?
Is going to always be the controls. If you don't get the controls right, if you don't get the feel, the fluidity, and that's not just the controls themselves, that also has to do with things like the map design and how you flow through the map. If it doesn't feel so natural that you almost don't notice it, you're really not quite there yet. And I think that's something that we've had as a major focus for our game since the very beginning. And it's why we brought in a lot of experts, a lot of pro players to make sure we get those controls just right.
I would say they're doing a decent job with it, although I would say, contrary to his point, a lot of people that come over from COD and go into XDefiant, they feel like the game just doesn't have that same fluidity. It feels like the aim assist especially is not nearly as tight, and just movement itself feels a little bit clunkier. But keep in mind, completely different devs, completely different engine, and one of the tips I gave pretty much everybody that was watching me live stream back during the initial playtests and everything was that basically you just need to set up your settings however you think you're going to like them, and then stop adjusting them after every single match. It's going to take a little bit going from a game like COD to XDefiant because it is a different game, it's a different engine and everything, but once you get comfortable with the controls, it is pretty natural and it does feel good. But again, he's talking about how everything's supposed to feel fluid and everything, but if you're someone moving over from COD to XDefiant, it does feel a bit jarring at first. But if you just keep your settings the way that they are and don't adjust them all the time and actually get used to it, you'll build up that muscle memory and things start to feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of what makes a good first-person shooter, I know you've made some very specific decisions with XDefiant. One of them being no skill-based matchmaking.
Of course, they have to bring that up right away.
Folks who might not be familiar.
It's a good thing, but
what exactly is skill-based matchmaking, and why did you decide that?
I have no idea. What? Tell me what it is.
Okay, so skill-based matchmaking, also known as oftenly as SBMM, basically where the game decides that you have a certain skill level after it kind of watches you play for a few matches, and then matches you up with people who are equivalent on your skill level. Now, in the olden days, it was pretty light and didn't really intrude too much into the game. It has become something that is more what they call actually engagement-based matchmaking now, where it sort of is like an AI that's monitoring your behavior and going, okay, this person's getting beaten too many times and we think they might quit, so we're going to make the game easier for them. And then
holy shit, the man's actually just saying it. I love this.
Where you win, and then it'll bring you back to the playing against the same people you were playing before. And the thing with all that, besides the whole sort of morality of it, is that I think it creates a stale experience, right? Like you keep playing against the same exact people, not the same exact people specifically, but the same exact type of player. You lose out on all the fun variety that I think a lot of the old school shooters had. Like you jump into a match and you can see a guy in there who's just wrecking, right? And he is just absolutely destroying, and you're kind of having fun with it because he's just so good, or she. And then you get into another game where you're the person who's wrecking, right? Like, and that experience, that variety is really what I think is missing in a lot of some of the modern arcade shooters. And I think it's something that we really feel is important to bring back to first-person shooters.
Dude, I had to like edit this out because I kept just like gasping and pointing different things out throughout that entire conversation. But, you know, we just had to let the man speak, let the man cook. Holy shit. He said everything that we've all been thinking for years there. And mind you, this is not just like some random dude. This is Mark Rubin, the former executive producer at Infinity Ward, the guy that was there for games like COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Like, back when Infinity Ward was good, this dude was leading the charge, and now he's leading XDefiant, and he's basically just coming out and saying skill-based matchmaking fucking sucks. Holy shit, Mark Rubin. What an absolute guy.
Your philosophy with XDefiant through this whole pre-launch phase seems to be, let's get it in the hands of players. Let's listen to players. And obviously there was a closed beta. You've also had open sessions,
which I think has been very good. They've had many open sessions, and as a result, they got a lot of feedback from the community over the course of the past year. It was a really interesting way of going about things. For something like COD, they give us like one beta weekend or maybe two, and that's pretty much it. Like, they had so many of those tests for XDefiant, and I think the game is going to be a lot better as a result.
You've had, you know, the PTS session as well. What sort of feedback are you getting from players, and how has the game kind of evolved from that closed beta to where it is now at launch?
It's amazing how much influence players have had on this game. I mean, you look at the start at our very, very first closed beta where we were a Tom Clancy punk rock game, and the feedback we got was nobody wanted that.
If you guys didn't know that, that's how the game was initially conceived. It had that Tom Clancy name, and this is what it looked like. They eventually dropped that Tom Clancy name, and they were so much better off as a result.
And nobody liked it. And we were like, okay. We said, let's redo it. Let's take the time to redesign. And it's not just big things like that. It's been little things like map voting was something that we didn't have on our roadmap until much later after launch as a possible add if we felt like it was important. And everything we've done, whether it's through all the tests and all the design features like map voting that we actually put in early and got it into some of our playtests because players requested it. That's the behavior that we have on this game, and that's the philosophy that has led to where we are now and will continue to drive us for the future.
I do love that they added something like map voting into the game based on player feedback, but honestly, the formula for XDefiant to be successful is pretty simple because they just need to kind of copy COD. And I know that sounds terrible, but bring back all the shit that COD took away from us. Things like map voting, right? I mean, they brought that back with Modern Warfare 3. Sledgehammer Games did a pretty damn good job with Modern Warfare 3 listening to player feedback. But, you know, things like map voting, things like no skill-based matchmaking, things like prestige mode, things like having plenty of challenges and camos and grinds and things like that for you to go for. Basically, everything COD took away, bring that back, put it into a free-to-play fun shooter, and that is a recipe for success.
You know, speaking of that gathering feedback and the input players have had, what is your philosophy on gathering player feedback? Because obviously there are the vocal folks out there who are gonna let their opinions be known, but you're also gathering a lot of data, I imagine, behind the scenes. So how do you balance those two, what people are asking for versus what you're seeing?
The more we communicate with our audience, the more we talk with them, the more we listen, and the more we show them, compare with the data. And I think for us, again, transparency being a big thing, I want to share that data, not just say, hey, the data shows that we think this is the right choice, so that's why we made that choice.
Man's calling out Michael Condrey. Who remembers Domination 50 back in COD World War II, or even the BAR back in COD World War II being an assault rifle that had a faster time to kill up close than any submachine gun in the game? And the dev team over at Sledgehammer, mostly Michael Condrey on Twitter, because of course he was kind of like the mouthpiece for Sledgehammer Games, he said the data shows that the BAR was not OP. It clearly was. The data showed that people prefer Domination 50 as compared to Dom 100, even though every conceivable poll, even official ones, said they wanted Dom 100. You know, sometimes the data does not translate well into actual practice within the game itself, and it looks like Mark Rubin understands that with XDefiant, which is definitely a good sign.
I'd rather say, hey, look, here's the data. This is what we're working with. This is what we've found. I know there's some opinions that maybe contradict this, but we have this data. Let's talk about it. I think there's that language that we have to build with our audience. It's something we want to continue to do for 8 or more years from now.
Yeah,
we want to keep having that same kind of
XDefiant could go on for many years. That would be awesome. One continuous game.
What things need to happen for it to achieve that level of success?
It's all about exciting content that just makes you go, I did not expect that. And for us, you know, we have access to every single IP that Ubisoft has ever shipped. So everything that you can think of is available to us in some way or format. So when we look at our roadmap, content-wise, we already have most of our content done for the first year, and we're already working into our second year.
They already have pretty much the first year's worth of content finished? That's pretty damn huge, honestly.
Things like a new faction every season is going to change up the gameplay and change up the meta of the gameplay. I love how our maps, you know, keeping the game fresh, keeping you excited about, there's a new place to play.
And they're colorful and they're fun.
The game in a new and completely surprising location. That's something that will really keep this game going for a long period of time.
I imagine it's been a long road to get here. What does this moment mean to you?
This is a special moment to be able to come together and create a brand new IP, a brand new shooter that has so far the amount of attention that this one has had. For me personally, being here today and this moment is just is a huge achievement for myself, for the team, and emotionally just super exciting. I can't wait.
Enjoy this one.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really exciting. Thank you for having me.
I liked hearing from Mark. That was wonderful.
We've been working on XDefiant for a while now. For players, the journey is just about to start. For those of you brand new to XDefiant, we had Mark give you his top tips for each of XDefiant's 5 game modes.
Oh, looks like we get more Mark Rubin.
Starting off with Escort, one of the key things that people don't necessarily realize is that multiple people
you have to stand on the objective,
make it move faster. So when you get the opportunity, you can get a few of the defenders to have to respawn.
Yeah, man, it's like the craziest thing. Like, it turns out, like, if you stand on the objective, it captures. But no, having more people be on it, making it go faster, that actually is interesting, and that's something people should know. But I'm just poking fun at, like, you know, FPS players in general. Like, yeah, it turns out, play the objective, please.
Jump on that package and move it as fast as you can. For zone control, it's all about pushing or defending.
I love this
For
game
attackers, having someone as a phantom with either the deployable shield or the blitz shield, being able to use that to dive and push into the zones while being supported by healing from Libertad, or extra DPS from cleaners will really help you push into those zones. If you're on defense, DedSec, cleaners, echelon characters, when you're in there and you're able to create the chaos to disrupt the coordinated effort that the offense is putting, that's going to help you win that round.
Well, yeah, you have to use your... It depends on the game mode, right? Like in a game mode like, it's not called Team Deathmatch, Hot Shot within XDefiant, you know, something like the Libertards are going to be a lot more used in that game mode because some of the other abilities just aren't that useful in a game mode like Team Deathmatch, essentially, right? Whereas something like Domination or Zone Control, you know, things like the Phantoms are going to shine a little bit more in those certain modes. I like having the, what's in essence specialist abilities within the game. I think that adds a lot of flavor to everything.
So Domination is a pretty well-known and classic game mode. And flanking has always been important in this mode because players are often super focused on the points.
Yeah.
And with XDefiant, our factions, like Echelon, have great abilities to help them be better flankers. And another tip for Domination is if you can get control of the B point, don't sit back on the point trying to defend. Push a little bit forward. Not too much.
Don't
so
flip
that
spawns.
You lose your back point, but just enough to interrupt any kind of coordinated attack.
Nice.
I do like the kind of basic tips that are being thrown out, honestly.
Occupy, it's all about getting to the next point before the other team does, which means rotating out early, knowing where your points are going to spawn, getting there, and keeping an eye on the clock so you can get there early.
It's hard point.
So Hotshot is basically our TDM mode. It's about getting as many kills as you can and collecting the other player's bounties to increase your score. The key thing is, if the Hotshot is on your team, make sure you try to let that person collect the bounties, because they will be worth 3 points versus 1 point if you collect them. Those are my top tips for each game mode, but in XDefiant, there are always different ways to win. So best of luck to everyone out there.
I'm really hoping they already talked about it a couple of times, but the idea of a one life game mode coming, I think it's to be post-launch if they ever do release it, but it would be cool to see Search and Destroy in the game.
So to better understand how maps are built, we had creative director Safi Sada break it down.
Hi, I'm Safi, creative director on XDefiant, and today we're talking about maps. As you may already know, XDefiant is an arcade shooter where many worlds collide. Our goal for maps is to create great shooter layouts that fully embrace the fantasy of the worlds they come from. We're proud to have an extremely diverse pool of maps.
And look how beautiful they are, bright,
You'll
colorful,
feel a big
fun.
visual contrast when jumping from map to map, ranging from the vibrant and Caribbean-inspired Pueblito from Far Cry 6 to the urban streets of Brooklyn from The Division in Dumbo, or the playful Noodle Tech campus from Watch Dogs 2.
That might be my favorite map in the
That
game.
contrast is also something we aim for through the map design, as we always try to convey the original game's layout as much as possible. It helps us make our game richer and more varied, offering players opportunities to use different loadouts and faction combinations to best adapt to the map they play. A good example is the way we designed Echelon HQ from scratch, but kept it inspired by Splinter Cell. It's an arena map that offers a lot of opportunities to hide,
Very close quarters.
easily take cover, and sneak up on opponents using air vents and other small tunnels to surprise them. It all ties back to the spy fantasy. Attica Heights from Ghost Recon Phantoms is another
What was that
arena
aim
map
right
worth
there?
mentioning. Since Phantoms was a PvP shooter, we were able to stay closer to the original map layout, which offered a unique set of features. It's fully symmetrical, has long sightlines, pitfalls,
This map was
and an
solidly
interesting
okay, I
layered
think.
central objective point. Another big element we're proud of is our linear maps. These maps are designed for asymmetrical modes that have progressive objectives. We knew these maps and modes would make our faction gameplay shine, but didn't know if it was going to work with our fast TTK. So we first experimented
Having maps that are specifically designed for certain game modes is a good idea in my opinion. That way you don't have to design a map like you would in COD where it has to work for search and dom and escort and this and that and the other, because then you get situations where certain maps are just really shitty in certain game modes. I think Modern Warfare 3 is a great example of that with Control. Certain maps for Control within Modern Warfare 3 are just awful. Estate is one of them. Subbase is one of them. I think they actually revamped Subbase, but regardless, some maps just suck for certain game modes, whereas in XDefiant, maps are built with those game modes in mind, and some of them are specifically only used for certain kinds of game modes. You have like your domination and hardpoint maps, and then you have like your escort maps and things like that. So I think that's a really good design choice, honestly. I'm pretty happy they went ahead and did that.
With an escort mode on Times Square, and it was an instant hit with the team. From there, we decided to make linear maps a true part of our core game and added another linear mode called Zone Control. Their bigger size allows for bigger spaces and landmarks, but also very distinct and contrasted styles within each map. For example, when playing Meltdown, players start outside on a snowy train track with long sightlines, before getting inside the foundry
where it's more close quarters, you swap out your gun,
and then finish in the huge blast furnace circular room. Each zone of the map calls for different gameplay dynamics.
Again, that's good design.
We've put a lot of work into the 14 maps going out at launch and already consider them a strong pillar of XDefiant. We are really happy to see the positive reaction so far, so we'll keep pushing on this pillar and intend to release one new map every single month. I can't wait to see how players...
One new map every single month. So the way they described it is there's going to be a seasonal system within the game, and every season is going to last 3 months, bringing with it 3 new guns and 3 new maps. So that would say to me that every single month post-launch of XDefiant, there's going to be at least 1 new map and 1 new gun. That's a good way to keep content flowing, especially when the game first comes out. We have all the guns, we're leveling them up, we're getting the attachments and working on the camos. And then, oh, look at that, brand new gun. Then, oh, look at that, brand new map. That's pretty good if you ask me.
React to some very surprising ones we're currently working on. Thanks for watching, and see you online.
With Mark's game mode tips and Safi's map walkthrough, you're more than prepared to start racking up wins in XDefiant. But what happens next? How do you go from being good at the game to being great at the game? Well, that's exactly what we asked a bunch of professional FPS players. Here are their tips on how to play XDefiant like a pro.
Oh boy. This might be really bad or potentially pretty good. Well, we got Aches in there.
Top tips to play XDefiant like a pro. I would say number 1, your loadout. You gotta have the right loadout. You gotta get the attachments that are benefiting the playstyle that you wanna aim for.
I like to put on attachments that are gonna make me quicker. I like to be fast. I like to be mobile. For you, you might need to be more accurate. Either way, try them, see how they fit you.
They do have a fantastic firing range
if
too.
I have to go with like go-to attachments, I'd probably go with Quick Draw. Quick Draw is always a must for me. Just to be able to pull my gun up faster. When it comes to assault rifles too, I like to throw on the red dot just so I can be able to see what I'm shooting at. Those are like my 2 must-haves.
I personally love Quick Draw across the board on the SMGs, the assault rifles.
Apparently Quick Draw is good.
Makes it so you want to have a good balance of good recoil control, be able to aim in quickly and be ready for those spontaneous gunfights.
And putting attachments on your gun to up your strafe speed, especially on ARs, is one of the best things you can do to up your accuracy percentage without having to mess with your aim or sensitivity too much.
So I sprint a lot. I'm kind of a fast running gun player. So I aim for those sprint out attachments. That sprint out time, reduce that. ADS time, reduce that. And then, but also you need to maintain and not add too much complexity in terms of adding recoil and basically getting those negative movement speed penalties. So you really want to kind of fine tune to cater to your playstyle to make sure that you're always available to play the way you want with the best loadout possible.
The second tip would be understanding the movement mechanics. And that's because XDefiant isn't a game that is slow paced and you can just kind of hold your ADS.
No, it's very quick and I like that.
Walk around the map.
Movement is a really core aspect of our
gameplay. It's not too quick.
Not only, defensively, but also offensively when you're in an engagement. For us, like the slide jump combo is super effective when you're going on the offensive.
Why? You make people miss. When you miss, it's easier to use your skills, your abilities, your ultras, your ultimates. Anything you do in the game becomes easier when you slide, jump, and move effectively in the air.
What we do is we allow you to keep your momentum through slides as long as you're maintaining forward momentum. So you're able to kind of chain those events back and forth. Another big aspect is our in-air ability, because you can strafe in air. So if you're in a gunfight, you know, wiggle your left stick a little, or if you're on mouse and keyboard, A and D, and you'll be able to basically be able to kind of navigate mid-air, which gives you a little like side juke, and it's really hard to hit.
A lot of players,
I'm not sure I ever actually noticed that.
Beta, they used it to like camera corners. And what that means is basically you'll slide jump as you come around the corner. So it just makes you a harder target to hit.
Acceleration of movement is what increases that cameraing aspect. So what I want you to do is maybe you hit that corner slow, and then you throw in a movement to make it accelerate to being fast.
You know when you hit it like really good, when you feel like somebody missed a whole clip on you, you hit a reload mid-air, mid-strafe, and then you kill them. I think it's like the #1 most like skill gap differentiating thing in the game.
You know, if someone's doing that to you, I would say the best counter is really just crouching. I think crouching is like a really effective method in counterplay, because you basically, you know, just crouch down, you're stagnant, but the enemy is going to be expecting you to be doing what they're doing. And
these guys really take their movement seriously. I feel like I should add something, but like, I don't know. What do I say here?
Strafing into your target.
Movement's never been that big a deal to me, especially in public matches and everything. This is more for competitive, obviously.
So what I mean by that, like you're ADS, and I need you to strafe to put that red dot on your target.
So when we're talking about a game like XDefiant, where we have factions and different playable characters, that's a whole nother story and a whole nother thing you need to take into mind when you're playing the game.
Well, it's similar to like Black Ops 4 and of course any other hero shooter out there. You know, I think the abilities are fun. I think for some people that's gonna be a turnoff for XDefiant. I think that some people are going to want a game mode where there are no abilities, but you know, it's like COD with specialists. I am a-okay having COD with specialists, and I'm happy with COD without specialists. I can go either way, and so because XDefiant has them, whatever, it doesn't bother me a bit. I think working around the abilities and using them effectively is another layer on what otherwise could just be kind of like a normal shooter experience.
All about getting value out of your abilities with each character and using them at the right times in coordination with your teammates to maximize value. So if you use these abilities at the right time, you can minimize the amount of actual gunfights that you even have and force the enemy team to spawn out as far as possible based on these kills. So you take ability like the Aegis, for example. You pop that at the right time, and instead of burning multiple ultra abilities on one hardpoint, you can combine that with a Remedio healing on the ground. And there's no way the other enemy teams are going to be able to take back a hardpoint. You can use that, lock down 45 free seconds, and then use your next ultra ability on the rotation towards new. So it's all about timing those abilities at the right time to basically make it so you can lock down with your teammates and not have to take gunfights.
Use a faction that not only helps yourself but your team would be.
I'm interested to see how the competitive scene of this game is going to go. Obviously, like, it's going to be pretty big at the very beginning, but I'm just curious how big XDefiant competitive play and ranked play and things like that are going to become, and whether or not there's going to be a pro scene or how that's all going to go. I mean, the game's not even out yet, and people already talk about going pro and things, but that's a generation we live in now, man.
Be a Libertad. They have a healing ability that heals you and anyone in the vicinity of you, so it can come to good use in team fights, team play.
On top of movement is knowing when you should play a specific character, because they all have their own positives, they all have their own negatives, but there's always a way to counter.
Understanding the power positions, really, so you don't get caught off guard, so you don't ever have to play reactionary. You're always one step ahead. And an example of what a power spot is, I'll use the map Arena, for example.
Great
Top
map.
mid is a power position.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a power position is because of where all the spawns are in the map. You spawn in, a lot of the times you'll spawn in like the locker rooms, in the tunnels around the outskirts of the map.
Which is a pain in the ass.
So while you're top mid, you can really get an angle on every spawn that your enemy will be coming from. And you can also hold lanes down. When you get into these power spots, sometimes you can use either gun if you're more of an AR player or an SMG player.
It's more so just getting some game knowledge, and that goes with just putting a lot of time into the game. And with time, your knowledge will come.
These are sort of advanced things, but these are things that are definitely going to help improve your play.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I become an AR player. I used to be like all about shotguns and SMGs. Now I'm just too old to be doing that, man. I just rock a rifle most of the time now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, again, there wasn't too much insight I could really put in there. These are actual pro players. Let me talk over the actual professional players and tell them what I think. You know, I kind of just let them go.
That's it for our first episode of X Debrief. Thank you so much for watching.
That's why I say in my videos, you can't steal that.
Play XDefiant and submit your questions and gameplay clips with the hashtag XDebrief. Congrats to all the developers who worked so hard on the game. Be kind to them. Thanks to Mark and Safi for joining us today. We will see you all in Season 1. Have fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The XDefiant pro gameplay tips, map guide, and preseason developer insights. I personally enjoyed the developer insight part a bit more. Then again, I'm not much of a ranked play competitive kind of person. I just want to play a fun shooter and make videos and enjoy time by myself and with my friends. You know, that's what I'm hoping for with XDefiant, and I definitely think it's going to deliver. Of course, we still have to wait for the full launch of the game to see how things actually end up going, but I'm enjoying this little hype cycle they got going on here for what they call the launch week of the game. As we're getting up to the full release of the game, we're hearing more from the developers. We're hearing more about what the game is going to have and how things are going to go, and honestly, it's been pretty interesting. So there you guys have it. There's the video. I told you it was going to be a longer one, but I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. That guy stole my thing, but thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.